Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here at Earth and Sky, and each of you joining us online. We always love it when you remember to like and subscribe, and thank you for joining us today. If you haven't already, please visit our website, earthandskyscenter.com. I am your host, Angelica Roth, and I wanted to bring you 10 special tips today for releasing anxiety. I know a lot of people seem to be dealing with a whole lot of anxiety lately. There is a lot of depression and uncertainty that has been building lately, and I wanted to offer 10 special tips to help you have a variety of things in your toolkit that you can let go of and learn to release this anxiety so it's no longer feeling like it's a weight on you or holding you back, so you don't feel like you have to freeze if you're somebody that when you get anxious it feels like everything stops or you stop and everything keeps going and it's hard to figure out what you need to do or how to get started because that weight, that anxious energy can just be so heavy sometimes. It can cause us to immobilize. It can cause us to feel a lot of fear. And we know that the opposite of fear, of course, is love. So doing techniques to help you release anxiety, doing and implementing, integrating some of these techniques to help dispel and clear away the depression are ways to fuel love into yourself. Sometimes we talk about needing to fill our cup first before we can fill the cup for others, and this is something that implementing these steps can help you with. I think sometimes we have these catchphrases and it sounds good and it sounds easy, but maybe it's a lot harder to actually implement than it sounds. Fill your cup first and then you can fill others. But how do I do that? What if you feel like though you just are uncertain about how to make it through today, let alone whatever is coming up this week? What can you do? Start with these 10 tips. There's a few extra things that we're going to cover in some of the categories first as well. My first tip for releasing anxiety, this also works really good with depression, is exercise. And exercise doesn't have to mean that you go to a gym and you have a set routine that you go through. Exercise can be really fun as well. Sometimes it's just about getting moving. Sometimes when we feel really, really anxious, it might feel hard even to stand up, to pull out of the body position that you may have found yourself kind of crumpling down into. But when we do simple things like lifting your head, letting your chest come forward, dropping your shoulders back, it allows you to start to take up the space that you're in. So you're not trying to hide anymore, but instead letting your wings spread. Allow yourself to simply open and embrace the ability to move in whatever capacity that you are able to move. Sometimes people will say exercise and it may feel daunting, maybe feeling like you have to jog for 3 miles or you have to spend an hour with exercise equipment. If that's your cup of tea, then go for it. That can be fantastic. But there are so many great ways to do this, and perhaps starting is simply taking a walk. This can be a beautiful time of year to take in the gorgeous colors of the leaves before we're turning fully into winter. Give yourself a chance to breathe the crisp coolness of the air. Remember how hot it felt during the summer? It's not too hot anymore. So take in this mid-season that we have and allow yourself to really indulge in noticing everything you feel, everything you see, what you taste, what textures you can feel as you go on a walk. Experience the life energy of the place around where you live. If it's in an urban area, notice the different textures and how people build their homes and colors that you see and all of that. Maybe you're in the country, so notice how the farm fields look as they're shifting between the seasons as we're preparing to go into the season of planting once winter hits. Right now we're still in this beautiful fall, the autumn season. Allow yourself to notice what you can take in, how you can create more space. Sometimes simply stepping out of your house or stepping out of your office can give you a new, fresh, clear perspective by just changing the space, changing that atmosphere. Sometimes it's even just walking from one room into another room. Have you ever noticed sometimes if you are getting up to get something and you walk through a doorway, somehow you seem to have forgotten when you got in the new room what it was you were looking for? There's something about doorways, kind of as an in-between space. That same trick, as frustrating as it might be when you forget things, that can actually work in your favor when you have anxiety or depression, because it does cause a shift a bit. It's subtle, sometimes it feels bigger as a shift in your consciousness, and you can utilize that to snap out of the anxiety or to shed the weight of the depression in the room that you left, and allow yourself to breathe and bring in that new space. There are so many different types of exercise. Yoga is one of those that can be wonderful if you are wanting to just get very present in the moment. Yoga there are many different types of yoga as well. People often think of the physical form of yoga, but there are breathing types of yoga. There are types of yoga that are more about kind acts of service. There are types of yoga that incorporate how to sleep better. There are so many different types, and getting into some kind of a yoga program that fits for what you are looking for in your life can be a beautiful way to break out of where you feel stuck and get some movement going. If it feels like it's too cold outside or too hot outside to go for a walk, or maybe to go for a run if you're feeling more inspired, then you can do that inside as well. There are some fantastic channels on YouTube that you can watch and have people that walk with you and will inspire different paces and different ways to walk, and you can do it from the comfort of your own home if that's easier right now when you're dealing with some anxiety or if you're struggling with depression. It's a great way to get your heart rate getting up there without being too much pressure if you feel like you're just beginning this new program. Walking changes and shifts the endorphins in our brain, and it helps to dispense those happy chemicals, serotonin, dopamine, a lot of different aspects that can help raise our ability to deal with and to cope with the many stresses that life sometimes brings. So doing some type of program with exercise, maybe it is just simply moving in your home. Maybe you start a walking or a jogging routine. Yoga, you might want to do something really fun like cradle yoga or aerial yoga where they use the silks. There are so many fun and creative ways to get your body moving, which then gets your mind moving. And if you pull yourself out of your environment, you get your body and your mind moving, automatically those thoughts that have been crowding your brain and taking up too much space, they start to kind of loosen up and they fall aside. Oftentimes, if I find I'm trying to figure out the solution to a problem, or I'm trying to figure out how I want to strategize with something for myself in my life, getting out and taking a walk or going climbing, maybe doing some rock climbing or walking through a trail in a park or a forest, it makes a world of difference. I have even at times, if it's really late at night, I'll do laps through my house, up the stairs and down the hallway and back down and through the first floor and back up. And that can help you to just pull out of where you have felt stuck and get the fluids moving through your body. Get your thoughts flowing freely. So find a type of exercise that brings joy to you, something that sparks excitement within you. And if you're struggling a bit with depression, sometimes this can feel even harder because depression causes chemicals that react in your brain that cause you to not want to move at all. And that can be a very dangerous place because that's where we get stuck in some of those darker thoughts, those harder thoughts, and we just need to get moving out of that and allow ourselves to move forward. That's actually how we train cats. I've done a lot of work with felines, and for cats, when they are really shy or really timid or very anxious, one of the things we'll do is to simply lift their chin with 2 fingers and help to guide them to walk forward by just a subtle movement under the chin. And that simple motion, lifting the head and guiding you to walk forward, it works with them and it will work with you as well. Another thing that you can do, so step 2 would be to nourish your body. Pay attention to what you are eating. What are you bringing into yourself? Are you bringing in dead, heavy foods? Are you bringing in light, fresh, life-giving foods? I know we can all go through different phases of finding our cravings are certain ways. And I find that I see a lot of people coming in that in the winter months, they tend to crave a lot of carbs or a lot of sugars that they don't necessarily crave in the summer months. And there's some research that's been done on this with the effect of the sun on our metabolism and how when we settle in, we start craving some of those other foods, but then it causes us to be more anxious. The processed foods cause a lot of anxiety, and it causes us to feel bogged down and weighed down where we don't want to get up and we feel that weight that's riding on us. With the energy that is in food will make a big impact in what you are creating in your body. I'm not saying you need to be vegetarian or vegan. For some, that works fantastic. If it works for you, great. If not, do what works for you. There are many schools of thought, and some are very, just like anything in life, sometimes people will feel like it has to be this way, or it has to be that way, or it's all or nothing. It's really not that way with anything. It's about finding what works for you, and when you do certain things, are you feeling happy? Are you feeling joy beginning to awaken within you? Are you feeling it nurture yourself? Are you feeling your health come up? It's about finding what nourishes you. I notice for myself that when I eat too much of meat, or I start getting into a habit of having meat every few days, every couple days or so, I start noticing I don't have as much energy. And sometimes I might feel a bit shorter if I have, say, meat every day for a week. I notice that little irritability factor kind of coming up a bit, and it causes me to feel a bit more sluggish as well. Now, I do recognize that there are times when my body definitely does need meat, and I feel at those times if I'm eating it when I need it, I actually get energy from it, and I feel my body get stronger from it. I can feel the way it is moving through and feeding me. But everything is about moderation as well, and finding what moderation is working for you. I also notice when I started really paying attention to my foods, when I eat fresh, live foods like fruits and vegetables, things that come up from the ground or they come from the trees, and they have a lot of life energy in them, especially things that contain a lot of water. Apples, pears, any kind of berries. So a lot of the berries are actually considered superfoods because they have so many minerals. They actually fuel our brain and they pick up our energy. When I get slow in the day, if I start to feel that like kind of slow moment coming in, grabbing some fruit and vegetables and throwing it in a blender with a little bit of Goodness, my brain. A little bit of rice milk works really, really amazingly well, or a little bit of almond or cashew milk. It works really well because it will perk you up and you'll feel better. You'll feel lighter. So start noticing what foods nourish you. And the third thing for helping to release anxiety is simply to breathe. Sometimes we forget and we don't even realize, right? We take for granted our breathing is an autonomic part of our system. But when we learn to tap into our breath and we learn different techniques for controlling our breathing, we really are able to open up to so much that we can control as far as anxiety, releasing depression, starting to let go of heavy thoughts. You can really, if you feel that heaviness in you, or you feel that sorrow or that anxious energy in you, focus on really breathing it out. Breathe some fast, heavy breaths out at first to clear it out of you. Don't hyperventilate, but allow yourself to really clear it. And then when you reach a point where you start feeling like you've got a little space in your body, then start noticing you take in really deep, slow breaths and feel that you're filling yourself up with the life energy of the universe. Allow yourself to really bring that in. You can do a Google search on so many different types of breathing and find techniques that work best for you. For some, faster techniques may work well. For most, it seems like slower breathing techniques tend to work best, but it can be good to experiment with different ones. Look up dragon breathing. That can be a very powerful way to dispel and release the anxious energy out of your body and to fuel yourself with some peace, healing energy, and to find your strength again within yourself. We might do a breakout life talk on breathing techniques because there are so many fantastic ways to do this, to apply within yourself. And a simple one, if you find yourself getting really anxious or having a hard time kind of getting out of the thoughts that you're in, is to just let yourself count when you breathe out and notice how many numbers you count to. I'm not going to tell you a specific number. Just notice how many numbers you count to, and then count as you breathe in, and keep doing that. And start to get where you have about 2 seconds longer breathing out than you do breathing in. That's going to allow you to keep releasing and kind of taking the fuse off, taking the top off of that anxiety or that depression, the worry, the fear, and allowing yourself to empower yourself with the strength of your breath. Another thing, the fourth thing for helping to clear anxiety is aromatherapy. I love aromatherapy. To me, scent evokes so many emotions and so many different feelings. I often have different scents going in our house. In different rooms, there will be different scents, because if you only have one scent going in your house, your nose will get really used to it. But if you have a couple scents, have one in one room and one in a different room, then when you walk from one room to the other, it shifts it so that your olfactory is able to recognize the new scent that you have. When you're doing aromatherapy, sometimes people will want to use a diffuser that will cause a micro mist to go out into the air around you. That can be a wonderful way to do it. One of the ways I tend to do aromatherapy more when I'm wanting to use it for a very specific purpose or therapeutic purpose is I'll actually put it on the body. I might put some on my wrist or my heart or at the pulse points. That can work well too. There's a lot of jewelry now that's sold as aromatherapy jewelry as well, and I recommend either the necklaces or the bracelets for that. The necklaces actually and the bracelets will have a little soft felt piece in the center, so you put your drops of aromatherapy on that. Make sure it's on a long enough chain, so if you need to get a really good whiff of it, then you can bring it up and smell it. Or same thing with the bracelet, that can be easy as well, to just kind of nonchalantly take in the wonderful scent that you have on your bracelet. If you have anxiety when you leave your house, maybe you are anxious going to the store or the post office, or there are certain triggers that make you concerned, wearing that aromatherapy jewelry can be really helpful. Or again, just applying it to your skin, into the pulse points, that works really well too. Some of my favorites for stress and anxiety: lavender is really, really good. Lavender calms our nervous system. It allows stress to kind of melt away. You've probably seen there are a lot of lavender bath products because it's very well known for its benefits of bringing peace and tranquility, helping you to sleep better as well. If you want to mix lavender and ylang ylang together, that really helps to balance the feminine aspects within the body, the divine feminine, and also the sense of peace and relaxation. If you want to bring a little bit of grounding into it, or a sense of connection that brings maybe a stronger sense of grounding and balance with the lavender and vanilla work really well. That's actually an aphrodisiac as well. Maybe that's part of why it works good for promoting peace and relaxation. But it can be a great way to just bring peace into yourself. You might be somebody that's noticed when you smell things that bake, you automatically have those kind of feel-good emotions that come up. The scent of vanilla is going to automatically trigger some of those good memories that you get from being around baking, or maybe doing baking yourself, or just receiving baked goods. It triggers that sense within us. Paired with the lavender, brings a wonderful sense of peace coming in. If you need to be awake during the day, but you are also struggling a little bit with feeling that anxiety, peppermint and lavender can work marvelously well together, because peppermint clears away anxiety. It brings your energy up into a higher vibration, a higher point of energy. It also clears any excess thoughts. It's amazing if you have migraines to use peppermint oil, or headaches. If you apply it to the pulse points on your head, don't get it close to your eyes, and don't rub your eyes if your fingers have touched it, because it is very uncomfortable in the eyes. But you can put it around those pulse points, or if it's really bad, I'll sometimes put a little just right under my nose, and it is wonderful for clearing those headaches. It is great for neck tension and all of that as well. Paired with lavender, it really brings peace while also having the energy that you need to get about your day and do what you need to do. Cedar wood is a very grounding oil. Cedar wood works really good for helping you to feel at home within yourself, to feel that sense of connection again within yourself, finding a sense of peace, feeling safe and secure. Cedar wood is really wonderful for that. The fifth thing for releasing depression and anxiety is music therapy. Music therapy can be done, again, in so many ways. I feel like I'm going to make this talk way too long if I start explaining too much about these categories. I could probably do a whole talk on each of these categories. But basically, music therapy, listen to what makes your heart happy. You can listen, maybe you like classical music. I love classical music. I find it very relaxing. Maybe you like the sound of rain falling. Now with the digital devices, it's incredible. You can download pretty much anything that you want to and find that quite easily. The sound of whales and dolphins with the rhythm of the sea, the symphony of the sea, that can be wonderfully relaxing. Or perhaps you like the sound of rain and drums as well, to feel one with the rainforest. Or maybe you like Native American, indigenous drumming sounds, and you want to just listen to that kind of rhythmic or the changing beat of the drum. Or if your type of music therapy is something a bit more upbeat, Listen to what makes your heart happy. Experience different things, explore and have fun with it. If you haven't heard of hand pans, those are amazing music. I'm doing a little shout out to my friend Jeremy Arndt, his last name Arndt. I highly recommend you check out his albums on Spotify, and he's on several different outlets as well. But Jeremy Arndt has a lot of handpan music, sometimes mixed with some gongs and singing bowls, or he's also recorded out by the creek that's on his property, so you have the sound of water with it. Very soothing and can be very energizing. It's a great way to release that anxiety. Instead of putting the TV on, put some music on. Use some aromatherapy. Give yourself permission to relax. Give yourself permission to unplug from your devices. Give yourself permission to be happy and allow yourself to implement these. So the sixth one is reframing your thoughts. And this can sound a little bit challenging at first, but when we learn how to pull out of what we feel and to start seeing and examining what are the thoughts that are going on in my head, it allows us to look at what we can control, how we can perceive things, and how to reframe what am I truly looking at? Because every single thing in life is so subjective. Every single thing in life, you can have multiple people experience the exact same thing and come away with totally different experiences of how that felt or seemed or how they experienced it. And this is something you can learn to hone in as a skill, like a superpower that you can have. It is amazing when you learn to reframe your thoughts. One of the keys is looking at what can you control with what you're thinking about? What can you not control? And so that you can surrender that instead of trying to figure out how to control it or wasting time spinning, worrying about the parts that you can't control. And learning and looking at what can you release. Oftentimes when there's a lot of anxiety, there's something we can release. That's why it feels like we are maybe the kettle on the stove and the top's about to blow and we're not sure what we're gonna do, but we feel stuck where we are. Or maybe you, when your anxiety builds, you feel like that top just blows right off and everybody knows that you've been feeling a bit anxious in yourself. Recognizing what can you not control and let it go. And turn your focus, because I know that sounds easier than it is. Turn your focus to looking at what can I surrender? Maybe I can surrender part of this anxiety. Maybe I can surrender the feeling of irritation that I'm feeling. Or maybe you need to just start to focus on what you can change and what you can control. And this can come into very physical things. So if there's a big issue in your life, or maybe you're worried about big issues in the world right now, and you're trying to figure out how are we going to make this? What are we going to do? How will we survive? Guess what? We are amazing beings that have survived insurmountable seeming things so many times, and we find our path through and we figure out what we learn in the process, and we're able to move forward, and eventually it doesn't even seem like it was that big of a thing that we had to surmount and to find our path through. So looking at what you can control. So bringing this into a very simple term, what you can control is your breath. First thing. So you can look at, okay, I can't control all of this. So you focus on deep breath in and a deep breath out. And when you breathe out, you start to notice your shoulders relax. You breathe in again. And as you breathe out, you feel your abdomen relaxes a little bit more. and you start to feel yourself coming back into your body. When we're very anxious, we sometimes end up occupying the space all around us instead of just in our body. And it's okay to be just here, just in your body. You're safe in your body, here and now, where you are in this moment. Sometimes reminding ourselves of that. I am safe in this moment, right now, here. And allow yourself to be fully present in your body. And allow yourself to notice, what do your toes feel like? What do your fingers feel like? Start to notice, what does your breathing feel like? Is it fast or slow? And how does it feel when you slow it down a little bit? And letting yourself really come fully present into yourself. And then starting to notice, maybe asking questions. Am I right now in imminent danger? Do I have a roof over my head? Do I have shelter that I can live in? Do I have food that I can eat in this moment right now? Asking yourself some of these basic questions. Do I have someone in my life that I can trust? No, that's not the case for everyone. Hopefully, there's one person in your life that you can trust, that you can talk to. One person that cares about you. I know I care about you. I bet you have someone else in your life as well that cares about you. And caring about yourself as well. And just bringing yourself back into the simplicity of not what is the list that I need to do, or what are all the things that are possible, or the what ifs in the world, but what do I need to do right now? I can't do all of it right now. What do I need to do right now? Throw out the rest of the list for a minute and let yourself come right here, right now. Simplify and start to reframe your thoughts. And there is always a silver lining in everything. And sometimes it really takes a lot of work to find, where is that silver lining? What can I trust? Where is the good in the situation that might feel so incomprehensibly bad, but there is a silver lining in it, I promise. I have been through so much in my own life. I understand. I've been bedridden for 8 years. I am so grateful now to be able to move and to talk. I had lost the ability to communicate for a period of time in my life. I've had multiple organ failure multiple times. I've had people that I loved and have been very close to that have died many, many, many times. It started when I was quite young. It's kind of a theme I've learned in my life. Every single thing, there is a silver lining. And I promise you it's there with whatever it is that you are anxious about. Even with big things in our communities and in the world, there is good that will come from this, and we can learn to find that and reframe our thoughts and look at that, see it, and that helps us to move forward as well. The next thing is the countdown technique. So the countdown technique is where you just start to count backwards. You might start easy, 10 to 1. And you just see in your mind as you're counting down, visualize the number that you're counting and give it a second. 10, 9, 8. You might even decide to go slower than that. But if you have another thought that pops in before you reach the next number, start back at 10. And don't criticize yourself. You might be do 10, 9, 10, 9 several times before you get to 8. And that's okay. But do that until you get to the number 1 and then see a beautiful 0 in your mind. And if you choose, you can allow yourself to meditate as you leap into the 0 and go into the stillness and the silence. And whenever thoughts come into your mind, just gently brush them aside and return your awareness to your breath. Counting down from 10 to 1 even can bring such a sense of peace. Something I learned from my martial arts instructor a long time ago was that pretty much anything, if you're starting to feel a bit impatient, most of the time, if you count slowly from 10 down to 1, whatever you are waiting for probably isn't going to be such a big deal anymore. It very likely might happen in that short time frame if you're waiting for something to happen right then. So I implement that a lot. It works great for anxiety. If you are trying to get to sleep at night and you have all the anxious thoughts running through your mind, you might want to start at 10,000. There's an interesting thing that kind of tricks within the brain when you go in the 10,000 range, and it makes it a little bit harder to follow through with the numbers. So make sure you say the whole number out loud, 10,000, 9,999, and then going down from there. Don't think you're likely to get to 1. Hopefully not. Hopefully you will have cleared your thoughts at that point and have drifted into a nice sleep. But that it can be a really great trick as well, because you start focusing so much on the numbers that those thoughts that have been really anxious seeming, they start to just drift away. Just make sure whenever the thoughts pop in, all you do is you just gently brush it aside. You don't pay it any mind. You don't get frustrated that it came in, because the thoughts will come in. That's okay. Just gently brush it aside. The next thing is to ground and shield. And if you haven't already seen our video, we recently redid our grounding and shielding video. I definitely recommend checking that out. I don't want to spend too much time talking about it here, but basically you just want to really connect with the earth. Let yourself come back into the stillness of your physicality, your physical body, knowing it's safe to be here now where you are. In that grounding and shielding, I talk about a 4-step technique of white light flowing through, a purple mist flowing around you, allowing yourself to feel like a tree, branches reaching to the sky and your roots from your hips down into the earth. With that part, really feel the tree within you. Feel yourself as a bridge between the heavens and the earth, because you are. That's part of why you're here, is that bridge between the heavens and the earth, and finding your path here. So feel that connection to all of your senses within grounding and shielding as well. Notice, what do you smell? What is the temperature? How does it feel to be in your body? The 4th step of grounding and shielding is visualizing a mirror shield that goes around your body, facing out, reflecting away. Anything not for your best and highest good goes back to the center with love, transmuting that energy into that which is positive while protecting you in the process. If you want a little quick extra remedy that you can do to release that stress, or if the depression feels really strong, it might feel a little silly, but do crisscross snapping. Snap your fingers and just move all the way up your body. Do the same thing behind you and end with 3 strong snaps above the crown of your head. It's a great way to break up that heavy energy. Similarly to what we do with the singing bowls and or bells, chimes, it breaks up the energy in the room and it lightens the space. Oftentimes that's what we really need to do. That heavy energy accumulates and it feels like such a weight, and it turns into all these thoughts within our brains, but we can dispel it, break it up very easily with bells or chimes, or simply snapping. Or if you can't snap, you can clap and cause that same sound and clear it that way as well. The 9th one is to learn to identify your triggers. Notice what starts that anxiety, what kicks off your depression. I've had a lot of issues since I was quite young with very major depression issues. And the way I really learned to navigate that, one of the key factors has been being able to recognize the triggers when I first feel it starting to come in, and then utilizing tools and techniques to be able to bring a sense of control control over it in a way by being able to release the heaviness. But you need to know, what are your triggers? Sometimes simple things for depression, you might notice that you start apologizing a lot for things that aren't your fault. So notice, what are the words that you speak? For some people, it might be that you start getting really anxious or irritated or angry with people oftentimes. And then that anger ends up turning into depression. So notice, what are the triggers for you? For you, maybe it is that you start to withdraw. You don't really want to be around people as much, or you don't want to go out and do things as much. Notice when you start those patterns so you can stop it sooner rather than later. It makes it easier. And identifying the triggers with anxiety. If you notice that every time you start to watch the news, you get really anxious and then your mind is spinning and you can't sleep because you're thinking about what you watched on the news, stop watching the news. The world is not going to change because you stop watching the news. Your life is not going to miss something because you stop watching the news. If it's important and you need to know, the information is going to come to you and you will find it and you will know. Stop watching the news if that is a trigger. Stop having conversations about things when you know that the conversation you're about to have with the person that you're having it with is going to create more anxiety. Just allow yourself to pull out from that. Maybe you're having a dialogue with somebody and the conversation has gone too far. Give yourself permission to step back. Give yourself permission to breathe, and give yourself permission to withdraw from that conversation while maintaining a friendship with whoever it was that you were talking to. Allow yourself to identify what are the triggers that start this anxiety. And one of the other things that you can do is journaling. Number 10 is to journal. Sometimes when we simply get our thoughts out and we write it down, it pulls it out of our body. When you journal, it doesn't have to make sense. This is not something that someone else is going to read. It doesn't matter if you know how to spell correctly or not. This is just for you. It doesn't have to be really long and detailed, and it doesn't have to be super short. It can be whatever you want it to be. And when you journal and you get all of this out of you, sometimes it feels so good because you feel like you've heard yourself. Sometimes when we have a lot of anxiety and we feel a lot of worry, sometimes it comes in half thoughts and we're not even really hearing full sentences in our mind. We feel like we think we are, but we're not. And when you journal, when you write it out there, it allows you to put words to it so that you can release it from yourself. So you can release it from your body as well. Being able to journal, there are many different approaches. You can do this as a letter. If you want to write a letter to somebody, you don't have to give it to them. Or maybe you want to write a letter to yourself. You might want to write a letter to God. You might want to write a letter to somebody who's no longer here with us. Whatever makes you feel comfortable in the way you want to write it. Remember, this is a process for you to get the words out, to get the energy out of your body and onto paper. And through that, you can start to identify some of your triggers as well by noticing what you wrote. If it feels like there was a lot of heaviness that you wrote, or it feels like you just poured a lot into it, it might be something you want to keep in a journal, or it might be something you decide you want to burn. If you decide to burn it, make sure you're using a very safe candle or throwing it in the fireplace or bonfire. Make sure that you're always practicing good fire safety. Of course, it's important. But sometimes when you watch it burn, it really helps to release that energy as well. And you can send your anxiety to the fire, send your anger to the fire. Allow yourself to release it out of your body. And one of the things that's a really great way to start, as a bonus tip, to start every day and to end every day is simply a practice with your breath. You might choose to have your hands at the heart and just feel your breath. If your thumbs are touching your sternum, you can feel your breath as it comes in and out through your body. Perhaps do this now. We'll just do a brief breathing exercise here as we begin to close. And you close your eyes and notice your breath. Allow yourself to go within. Feel how your chest rises as you breathe in and how it falls as you breathe out. Notice as you breathe at the pace that feels right to you. That with each breath out, you release any anxiety. Let it go. Feel all the way from deep in your belly that you release the air. Let it go. Release the sorrow. Let it go out to the wind, where it will be transmuted into the base element of air and breath and clean oxygen again. And as you breathe in, begin to notice you're breathing in the light of peace. As you breathe in, the light of peace flows in on your breath. And each breath out, letting go. Feeling yourself settling into the stillness of this moment. As you say to yourself, I am peace. I am home. I am whole. I am loved. Take in another deep breath and bring your hands up to your third eye in that prayer position. Feel your thumbs as they rest on the center of your forehead and your head slightly bows to your hands. And allow yourself to breathe in beautiful white light, the light of divinity, for you are made in the light and the love of the divine. It is who you are, and this white light flows through every atom of every cell of your entire being. Pure, radiant, beautiful light. And beautiful amethyst mist swirls around you, sparkling, glittering, shimmering purple light, purifying and protecting. As you feel your arms raising to the sky above, tall like the branches of a tree, and you feel your spine nice and straight. As you breathe out, your hands come back down to your heart, and you feel your trunk strong and stable. And breathing out, you feel from your hips down into the earth, the roots of the tree, through the rock and soil and sand, and down through the water table, and all the way down to the heart of the earth, the warm magma, lava, iron core of the earth. You are held, and you are home, and you are safe, and you are loved. Feel as your heartbeat slows in rhythm with the earth. Rhythmic, steady, beautiful you are. A beautiful mirror shield begins to form 3 feet off your body, reflecting out, reflecting away anything not for your best and highest good. It flows back to the sender with love, transmuting that energy into that which is positive, while protecting you in the process. Om Shanti Om, peace, radiant peace, radiant peace. May you feel the light and the radiance of the stars and the sun and the moon as they guide your path. May you feel the love and the warmth and the wholeness of the home that is Mother Earth. stable and safe, strong and secure. May your heart feel light. May you feel love that flows through your every existence. May you feel the radiance and the beauty and the awareness and the knowledge of the beauty that is in your life here, now, today. Thank you for sharing this with me. I honor the place within you where the entire universe resides. The beauty, the peace, the light, the oneness, the grace. Each of these things are also in me, and in sharing these things, we are united. We are the same. We are one. Namaste. Feel yourself come back. Visualize the room in which you are and open your eyes, coming back, filled with the light of love, ready for the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us for not just 10, but 11 special tips to help you release anxiety. If you know someone else that's struggling with anxiety or worry or depression, you might want to share this video out with them. Give them some tips as well. And I will look forward to seeing you next week here at Earth and Sky and online as well. Please remember to like and subscribe and check out our website, earthandskycenter.com. Thank you. Have a great week, everyone.